Okay, let's have a look at the 2015 non-calculator paper. As always, look at your formulae list, formulae, not formulas, the plural formula. Interesting fact as well, pizza, that means one pizza. Pizzier means several pizzas. There you go, they don't put an S on in Italy, they put E on. I think that's a Greek thing. Anyway, don't forget your formula sheets. More important for the calculator paper, I think they come up more often. But when you start seeing volume, you start looking at non-right angled triangles, you should be thinking, oh, get to my formula sheet, okay? So remember that. Right, question one, as is tradition, we're looking at fractions, percentages, breaking brackets. That's usually quite common. So we've got a little takeaway. I'm allowed to do 6 takeaway 2 as normal. And to that, I'm also going to add on 1/5 take away a third. Don't get too hung up on the plus. That's really just an and, effectively. I'm doing 6 take away 2 and a fifth take away a third. Okay, the big mistake people make here is they put a takeaway in there. No, no, no. I'm doing these numbers take away from each other, and I'm doing my fractions take away from each other. So that gives me a 4, now a fifth and a third. Best way to do your fractions is smile on across. So multiply the denominator, and then multiply the 3 and the 1. So my 3 goes up here. 5 times 1, so my 5 goes up there. So you're now going to end up with 4, and to that I'm going to add on negative 2/15. It's a bit weird, isn't it? So I've got 4 pizzas, and I'm taking away 2/15, yeah? So that means I've got 1, 2, 3 whole pizzas left, and in here I'm going to have 13/15. So that's the same as 3 and 13/15. If you wanted, you could think on that as, okay, I'll put my 3 down here, I'll take 1 over. So what you're kind of doing is saying I've got 3 and I've got 1, which is the same as 15 over 15, take away 2 over 15. So then that becomes your 13 over 15. So different ways to think about it. I prefer just visualizing it in the end. But yeah, smile on across is what you're going to use for your fractions. Algebra, inequality. So for this one, exact same as a normal equation, your only rule you need to remember is when you multiply or divide by negative, you flip your sign, and you can also flip the sign if you've got 5 is less than x, that's the same as x is greater than 5. Okay, so that's like an actual, when you flip it, you flip the sign as well. Okay, so just these 2 rules, that's all you need to remember, and that's us done. Okay, so let's have a look. So first thing I'll do here is break out the bracket. So it's going to be negative 2, so negative 2 times 1, and then negative 2 times 3x, so that's negative 6x, is less than 39. And all I'm trying to do is get x's to one side, numbers to the other. So that's going to be 9 take away 6x is less than 39. So I'll take away 9 from both sides, that'll be 30. And I could divide by negative 6, so that would be negative 5. But because I've divided by negative, I need to flip my sign. So that's x is greater than negative 5. So for these ones, 3 marks for this. You're getting a mark for breaking out the bracket, and then a mark for starting to collect your like terms, and then a mark for the end. So 1, 1, 1. And sorry for this one, you're going to mark for your common denominator. So actually just getting kind of to this point in here, you're going to mark, and then 1 mark to finish it off. I'll zoom right into this. I'll zoom right in a wee sec. First of all, get your rules written down. Okay, the big one that always pops up is your isosceles rule. So if this is a radius and this is a radius, these are the same length. So this angle is the same as this angle. Also, don't forget tangents meet circles at 90 degrees. So that's 90 and that's 90. And don't forget, if you've got a semicircle or a circle, this triangle here, so the base is the diameter for this triangle, that's 90 degrees. So let's see if we can spot any right away. Yeah, well, I can spot that's 90 and that's 90, and I can spot that's 90, and then I'll label up some radii. That's a radii, that's a radii, that's a radii. So this angle is going to be the same as this one in here, and this little angle in here is going to be the same as this one in here. So without much thinking, I've actually already solved quite a bit of this, So let's zoom in. If I know this full angle here is 90, okay, from where this meets this, and that's 77, this one has to be 13 degrees. And I said they're both the same, so that's also 13 degrees. Okay, now we're looking for angle BDF, so B to D to F, so I've got that part of it. I just need to find this bit, and because I know this and this, angles in a triangle add up to 180, so that angle in there is going to be 26 degrees. So angle BDF, really should actually be more like that, sorry, BDF is equal to the 13 degrees plus 26 degrees, so that's 39 degrees. So for these ones, just don't stress, there's a lot in there. Remember your main rules, which are those ones, okay? The other ones you want to remember are angles in a straight line add up to 180, so straight line adds up to 180, so both those angles would be 180, and opposite angles are the same, so that angle is the same as that one, and that's the same as that, okay? If you write them down, it gives you a good chance just to spot them, but these are the big ones we're testing you on, okay? Get your radii labelled up, okay? Spot your isosceles triangles. And this one was a bit tricky because they were kind of showing you this triangle you didn't need. When you see a tangent, you should be thinking 90 degrees. You see this semicircle triangle, so the diameter is the base, you should be thinking 90 degrees, yeah? And your marks for that, you were getting points for the 13 degrees, points for the 26, and then points for adding them together actually, so 1 mark, add them together. Multiply the brackets, so this is a nice wee end to the first few questions in the paper. I prefer for this to do my table. I like it because you can spot patterns quite easily. So I've got cubed, I've got squared, I've got x, you know, and now I've got squared, I've got x, I've got a unit, yeah? The group terms are usually on the diagonal, so the x cubed and the 8 just stay where they are. I've got negative 4x squared, and to that I'm adding 1, so that's negative 3x squared, and negative 6x. So you're getting a mark for starting to multiply out, so a mark for these 3, and then a mark for these 3, and then a mark for putting your like terms together, pretty much. Yeah, that's great. So 3 marks for that one, not too bad. And let's see, can we make it to question 5? Let's have a little look. I'll maybe start it, okay? So standard deviation is equal to root a, find the value of a. So I think I'll start it and we'll probably run out of time. So you should be thinking for standard deviation x minus x bar, and x minus x bar all squared, because we're going to use our equation that we're given, which is the square root of the sum of x minus x bar squared over n take away 1. So in our table, we'll add up this column, which becomes the sum of the x minus x bar squareds, apply to the formula, and that's the standard deviation. So my x's are this, so if I add up all my x's, I've got 15, so the mean is going to be 15 divided by 5, because there's 5 numbers, so that's 3. So here I'm doing 1, take away 3, so that's negative 2, 2, take away 3, negative 1, 2, take away 3, so that's negative 1, negative 1, and 8 take away 3 for 5. A wee check to make sure you're doing it right, that should all add up to 0, which it looks like it does, and then we're squaring the numbers, so it should be positive numbers all the way here. So 25, what's that, 32. So I'm saying then that the square root of 32 divided by 4 is my standard deviation. 32 divided by 4 is 8. So root 8 is my final answer. So A is equal to 8. Nice little question. So again, you know, that looks more difficult than usual, doesn't it? You're thinking, wait a minute, surds, oh, I like surds, I don't study surds, oh, I hate that. Well, you do standard deviation, you know you get your mark for your nice table. So in this, you're getting a mark for finding x bar and this. So you got 1 mark for this and this in total, is what it mean. You would get a mark for this, so it's writing it in, and then a mark for kind of making that connection. Okay. So, you know, I think they could have given you maybe a wee bit more. Maybe a mark for that and that, but anyway, it was quite an easy table really. So 1 mark for all of this, and then 1 mark for a sub, and then a mark for doing that. You know, so i.e. spotting that A was 8. So please do as much as you can of these things. You know, just go with the flow, see where you end up. You know, don't just switch off. And for this A and B, well, A is simply the height divided by 2. So the height is 8. 8 divided by 2 is 4. Sorry. So the height is 4. And the last bit, how many waves are there inside a 360? I see 3.